Good evening, everyone. Welcome to I Write Out Loud. I am Dana Dubois, and I am happy to be here this evening and excited to see who all is joining the fun. I am going to go do my usual wanderings to see which of the channels have turned on properly. This should just be a given, but I always do like to check because sometimes a thing or two is broken. I am live on YouTube. There's nobody here yet, but I will say hello. And let me go check out the Book of Faces where nobody has ever joined alive. I don't know if you all are on Facebook. I find that it is like mine is private and it's my friends and they never see anything I post ever anymore. But okay, we are working there. That's good news. Projecting into the void. And now let's do the one that matters most, Substack, and the one that moves the slowest. Hopefully that was enough time. I can see I'm live. Oh my gosh, and there's a bunch of folks here already. Gray Galaxy, so lovely to see you. Everyone wish Gray a happy birthday. It was her birthday on the 13th, I think. Correct me if I have that wrong. It was a few days ago. And I was supposed to be on her epic live stream that day. And by the time I got home from work, she had ended it because turns out crazy long live streams are pretty demanding. But hopefully we'll get to have a makeup one because I was so looking forward to going live with you, Gray. I look amazing. Oh my God, thank you. I'm exhausted. I literally just like ran some hair oil in my hair because it was so. Anyways, I should just say thank you. But I was laughing to myself that I was like, I could have like tried a little harder for the beauty episode, right? Um, I was working all day today, so let me say hi to the few folks who popped in, whose names I can see. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Justin. Hi, Linnea. Always so nice to see you guys. Hi, Meg. Hi, Maggie. I already said hi to Gray. Hi, Gretchen. Hi, Karen. Hi, Bob. Hi, Stacy. Exhausted looks good on me. Oh my gosh. I have a funny story about that we're going to get to in a moment. I am going to ask first thing if you all wouldn't mind clicking that little heart button. Smash those hearts, everybody. It is when you click that heart, it signals to Substack that this is a live worth watching, that folks are excited about it. I wish they would just look at how many people are chatting in the live because I feel like that would be a better indication. Oh, Ro says I am a radiant, positive being. Thank you. That makes me radiant, actually. So that feeds on itself. Oh my gosh, Maureen Costa, hello. I love when people I know in real life join my lives. Y'all, Marin is a superhero. I'm not going to get into it here, but you should go Google her name and see the work that she has done because she has truly taken on the man and, won some pretty big battles. So I'm thrilled that you're here, Marin. It's really nice to see you. I found you because of God, and I'm so glad I did. Justin, I love that sentence. We had so much fun having God on the Daily Whatever show last week. I'm thrilled that you found me there. I am really hoping that God brings me on to sing karaoke. I was not kidding when I said I wanted to karaoke with God, like Johnny fiddles against the devil and the devil went down to Georgia. I want to have a karaoke challenge against God. I don't need a fiddle of gold or a microphone of gold. I just have a regular microphone. It's not turned on right now, but I like to use the prop sometimes. Sometimes I like to sing in it, but now is not that day. You'll make that happen. Oh, you help him book guests, Justin. Oh my God, my birthday is in a couple weeks, and that would be like the greatest birthday gift. I always do karaoke on my birthday, and to karaoke with God. Do you see me blinking? Oh my God, I would absolutely love that. Let's see. Hi, Sam. Hi, Huvito. I hope I'm saying your name right. Hi, Anne. Hi, Chris. Hi, Joe. Hi, Raina. Hi, Rose. I love that song too, Rose. What day do I want to be on with God? I can be flexible, Justin. I don't know. I do work like a 9 to 5-ish sort of weekday job, but I have a little wiggle room here and there, and I can be pretty flexible. Otherwise, for God, I will contort myself into all kinds of weird time space things to get on that show. But message me and we'll figure out a time that works. Hi, Louise. Hi, Dan. Wow, there's so many folks joining. Hi, Diane. It's lovely to have you all here. Boston Robin, hello. That's a great name. 8-4 and 8-6 are open right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, looks like I'm booking a meeting with God in real time. Hang on, I need to open calendar August 2026 and go see what days of the week that is. And Justin, if you can tell me, so that's a Tuesday or a Thursday, what time did you have in mind? I will make it work. Oh my gosh. This has never happened to me before. I feel like I've also never been set up on a date. I feel like friends should be like, hey, I know someone you should meet. And it never happens. And rare, like it's never happened in real time that someone tries to set me up on a live. 2 p.m. Eastern, so 11 p.m. my time. I would need to go look at my work calendar for that. But here, Justin, I'm going to go follow you. Is it okay if I write you after the show? Because I don't really want to derail the show. But count on it. I will make one of those 2 days happen. And I will write you right after the show. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to just message myself your name so that I don't get off the live and be like, who was that wonderful person on my live? Justin. Okay, I've got you. So, welcome to I Write Out Loud. This is my home for creative nonfiction here on Substack. And sorry, closing windows over here so I can see all of you. I Write Out Loud has a specific cadence and intent, I would say. I publish a new story every Monday, a new essay. Sometimes they are brand new to the world. Sometimes they come from my archive, from places I've been published the last few years as I've been growing as a memoirist. But I'm a dot connector. And what I love most about writing creative nonfiction is sharing personal stories that help connect the dots on cultural or even political topics. So you will rarely see me write something that is just me in isolation talking about something in my life. Because that's kind of not how I think lived experience work. Everything ties us to everyone else, right? So I publish the story on Mondays, and then I tend to spend the rest of the week kind of steeped in that topic. I do a public live like this every either Wednesday or Thursday evening, depending on my calendar. And this week, obviously, Thursday evening. And then every Sunday, I host Sunday Salon, which is for paid subscribers. And it is a deeper dive into the topic of the week as I wrap it up. It's where I share a bit more personal anecdotes, behind the scene things that I wouldn't share on a public live. And it is growing into a really lovely community of fellow readers, writers, and thinkers. So this is the part of the live where I will say, if you would like to join me as a paid subscriber, I would welcome you as part of the I Write Out Loud community. I will put the link in here. And even if you are not yet a free subscriber, I would love to have you here, however is best for you to be here. I'm going to put a link here in the chat. One of the very best ways you can support writers on Substack, of course, is with a subscription, but even a free subscription helps us grow. It helps signal to Substack that readers are taking us seriously, and that there's something special going on with this community. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening to my little pitch about who I am. I always like to do that at the beginning, and I'll probably do a quick one at the end. And now I would love to jump into my topic of the week. I am going to grab the essay and put the link in the chat. It is called I Got Botox. Does that make me a hypocrite? The subtitle, Reconciling Self-Acceptance with a Little Help from a Syringe. This was an essay I originally wrote last year because I started Botox in early 2025. I kind of came into the new year and was like, I think I want to do this. So here I'm putting the link in here. Can I get a 1 or a 2 from the audience? 1 meaning you have read the essay, and 2 meaning you have not read the essay. There are no wrong answers. I just thank you for saying you like the title, Rose. I like to have an idea of how familiar you are with the topic before I jump in and start talking about it. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Okay, so it's kind of a mix. We've got I love my talks. I love that people are starting to call Botox the talks. It's it's so cute and it's so adorable, right? Um, okay, so we're kind of a mixed bag, and maybe the twos may have it slightly. So I will speak at length of what's happening here. I'm going to ask one more question. Again, 1 is a yes, 2 is a no. Has anyone in the audience, or is anyone in the audience currently getting Botox treatments? You don't have to answer if it's uncomfortable. I'm just kind of curious to know if there are fellow toxers out there. I see, hi Teralex, I see your comment. So I see a 1 and a 1 and a 2. Okay, so 2. So we're about 50-50 right now. 1 LOL. So again, about a mix. Whew. I'm going to tell 2 short stories before I jump into this. One of them rather spontaneously. When I was in my 20s, I was a speech pathologist, believe it or not. That is my first career. And I was working at this very unfortunate nursing home in Miami as a traveling speech therapist. It was like a 3-month contract. And I worked with a bunch of other traveling therapists, physical, occupational therapists. I was the only speech therapist. Delightful crew, and they're from all over the world, although mostly from South America. This was the most, anyways. This nursing home had people from all over, and um, most of the residents were Spanish speaking, which was hilarious because I was the speech therapist, and I only speak Spanish, and I wasn't allowed to chart that I didn't speak Spanish that well because then we wouldn't get reimbursed by Medicare. Deeply unethical place. You don't need that part of the story. While I was there, I started dating one of my coworkers briefly, and the women there, especially, were obsessed with plastic surgery. And I mean, I was in my 20s; they were probably in their early to mid 30s. One of them got a full facelift. I think she was 36. She got a full facelift, and at the time, I was just like jaw on the ground. And Fernando, the very gay, in retrospect, man I was dating, that happened to that when I was younger. Um, he said the nicest thing about me. He said, Dana would never get plastic surgery because her beauty is more than the sum of her parts. He said it in front of me about me. And I was like, wow, that's a really lovely compliment. And at the time, I remember being like, yeah, that's true. I would never do anything like that. I'm just going to age naturally, blah, 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 blah. Um, that's story 1. Story 2 explains a little bit more about why I am so tired today. So my older daughter woke me up at 2 in the morning, not last night, but the night before. She is stoic, my kid. She's stoic. And she was almost in tears because she had gotten fake nails for prom. So it's been way longer than those nails should have been on, like maybe 6 weeks. She came in my room because she was like, "Oh, one on this finger hurts so much." So uh, underneath her fake nail, like one of those, like, really long ones. Presumably there was an infection that was pretty bad, and fingers are really serious. If you ever have a like crazy painful finger, you may have what's called a felon, because I had one once, and I googled it, and it was like, go to the ER right away. You can lose a finger because the infection has nowhere to go around your joints. So went to the ER with my daughter. We were there for about 2 hours, and she did not have a felon. She didn't even really have an infection. We basically probably just got her the most expensive manicure of her life, and a very ugly one. They just put acetone on got the nail off, and it looks, yucky, but it's not infected and it's hurting a lot less now. So for whatever the reason was, it was hurting her. And this is the third time that she's had some form of infection underneath a fake nail. She's only 18. I will probably write about this at some point. Like I do love a nice like dip manicure or gel manicure. It looks really pretty. It stays on a long time. I loathe really long nails. I always wear mine pretty short because they incapacitate me in a way, like they at least limit my motion. And those really long ones, like the one my daughter was wearing, I'm like, those are limiting how you move through the world. They cost a fortune. They take a long time. So they're taking your time, they're taking your money, and they make you unable to move through the world in the way you should be able to. So to me, they're less serious, more modern, like foot binding, right? Like, why do women have to do this? So she finally, after her third infection, this one involving a literal emergency room trip in the middle of the night, is like, I'm not going to do these anymore. And I was like, good, good. And I'm telling you all of this because these are some of the themes in my story. When I write, I very rarely will write an essay that's just like, this is the way and that's it. At the risk of sounding too self important, I write with nuance. The most interesting essays to write or to read to me are not simply espousing a single viewpoint, they are examining and circling something that is complicated. And when it comes to women and beauty standards, my views are complicated. Rose, thank you for complimenting my writing. That is so sweet. And yeah, Boston Robin, I don't understand how people get anything done with things stuck to their fingers. I got fake nails once. I went to, this was really fun. A friend of mine hosted a themed karaoke party at her house. And what was the theme? You had to be either, it was like goth, something or something. And now I can't remember what they were, but I went goth. I went like Susie Sue. And so I got long, like black, spiky, like I painted, they were fake, but they had the like spiky points with black glitter. Like they looked really cool. But I was immediately just like, I can't do anything. I feel like Edward Scissorhands, like because I use my hands so much to do things. So where this essay really examines, oh, my mouse isn't hooked up. I'm gonna have to use my trackpad. Yeah, Edward Scissorhands. That was me. Yes, I was dressed like Susie from Susie and the Banshees. Kind of had the black makeup and the big hair. It was super fun. I don't remember what I sang. It was not a Susie and the Banshees song. I know a lot of folks have joined, so I'm going to put the link back in the chat again, so that you can follow along. So this essay is examining. It's examining beauty trends, I hope, with nuance and what it means now to be, not in my 20s, but in my 50s, and be like, yeah, that boyfriend in my 20s who said I would never do anything because I'm more the sum of my parts. Some of the parts could look better. And it is a really, well, the subtitle of the second part of the title, Does That Make Me a Hypocrite? I really struggled with this. And part of the reason why I wrote it was I was like, well, I write out loud, I live out loud. There are probably other women like me who are like feminists. We don't want to buy into patriarchal beauty standards. And also, we live in the real world and recognize that we are all judged by the way we look, right? So that's the journey that this story takes. It opens with me first getting my first round of Botox with Erin. She told me she's not actually called an esthetician. She's a nurse who has her own business where she does all aesthetic work, Botox and chemical peels and stuff like that. She is a wonderful human. And when she first injected my face, she told me that I have thick skin. That's how the story opens, with her saying, you have thick skin, and me being like, is that good from your perspective? She was like, yeah, it's great. Then with aging, your skin tends to thin and yours is nice and thick. And so that's a good thing. And I was like, okay, good. And then I laughed because I do love a double meaning. And I start getting into what it means to be thick skinned, or at least some examples from my life of being thick skinned. And so I talk first about something I achieved. This was in right before I started Botox, the year before. In 2024, I had a goal to get published in a national publication. I'd been writing on Medium for about a year, and I was like, I would like a couple of national bylines. And I pitched stories. I did the research of who to pitch, and I was pitching stories, and I finally got a yes. And the story that I got a yes about was about the burgeoning boy sober movement at the time, which I have an essay about it. If I can take a pause, I'll try to find it. But it was a trend launched by a Gen Z aged woman in New York. And it was a kind of a reclaiming of time, energy, and power from these young women who came of age in this very sex positive culture, but we're conflating sex positivity with kind of some like, I don't want to say consent violations because they said yes, but they felt like being sex positive meant they had to say yes, sometimes to things they didn't actually want. And the mental health hit from that, and from living in this world of it's a very hard dating space. Young men are in a kind of hard way. So boy sober in her mind was, I'm taking a year of sort of dating sobriety so that I can get grounded in myself. And when I heard her on Savage Love, which is one of my favorite podcasts, Dan Savage's Sex and Relationship Advice podcast. I was like, it hit me right at the right time because I had just had a really bad sexual experience dating. I guess it was a dating experience, but something else I wrote about, an essay called I Gave My Consent, He Gave Me Bruises. So that was how that counter went. And so this hit me at exactly the right time. And I was like, well, I don't need to go boy sober because I'm in my 50s. And I don't need to do it for a year because some of these lessons that these young women were looking to learn, I feel like been there, done that. But I was like, I'm going to go man sober for a month. And so I pitched the story to a few publications, and today.com, like the Today Show's online presence, they messaged me back and they were like, this term is trending. We want you to write the story. We need it tomorrow. And I'm not a fast writer, but I turned this shit around and I got the story out, and I love how it came out. Posted it, and it's linked here. It's linked from the story, but I'll grab it here. And so you can see my triumph. This is still probably the biggest national byline I've had. I've had a few others, but I haven't been pursuing them as much since I've been on Substack because that's kind of a whole world. Why have I lost our chat? Oh, here it is. So here's the story. And today.com, blissfully, no comment section. So it did feel like I put it out there and it was just sort of like there was no feedback loop, right? Because there were no comments. But I then discovered shortly afterwards that they had syndicated it. So one of the places that was hosting the story was on MSN.com. And I was like, great, another byline. Fabulous. But I went and looked, and on MSN, there are comments. And I was like, Dana, you don't have to read these. But of course, I did. And of course, me being me, I was expecting women being like, yeah, girl, this is awesome. And like, just, I've been spoiled by Medium and Substack and was hoping that most of the feedback would be positive. Most of the feedback was not positive. Most of the feedback was directly commenting on my looks, and it was not positive. So I had to get pretty thick-skinned about it and be like, well, you know what? I'm a published author. You're a loser in the comments section. And you're clearly just not used to seeing a 50-something woman's face associated with a story about dating or sexuality. That's all. Like, you're used to seeing 20-something-year-old author profiles or stock photos. And like, I have no illusions about how I look. Like, I know what I look like. I have never been pretty in a classic sense, and I'm fine with that. I am a niche taste. I think I look pretty good for my age, and I hate when people say you look good for your age, but I think it's okay to say it when it's you. Sorry, I'm shifting in this uncomfortable wooden chair. Um, but um, never claimed to be a beauty queen in writing the article. I'm a normal person writing about my lived experiences, right? So before I keep going in the article, I thought for fun, because I have a weird, oh, thank you for telling me I'm a babe and I'm beautiful inside and out. Pre-Raphaelite. Oh, that's such a nice compliment. Um, you all are being very sweet. Thank you for saying my hair looks fabulous. It is unwashed and unbrushed, but I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. So I thought it would be funny if I guess or just read what men said about me, strangers on the internet. Would that be funny? Can I read them theatrically? I think it might be cathartic for me. I don't see anything in the comments, so I'm gonna take that to mean yes, Dana. Please read what these men said about you. I've been posting some of them to Substack this week. And I'm going to do another, we're about halfway through. I'm going to say, click some hearts because we got a bunch of people last time. And let's see if we can get a bunch of people in for the second half, if you don't mind. I feel so cheeky being like, can you please love me? Put the hearts up. But it really does help. And Derek, thank you for being there. Okay, so here is what men said about me. This is just a few of the better ones. I think there were 126 comments when I wrote this essay, most of which were about this. The author is single because, well, just look at her. Looking at your photo, I'm not so sure it's a choice. Wah, wah. Should I do these with more feeling? I'm gonna like take on some personas, I think. Pretty sure she doesn't have a choice. Ha, that's just what the guy before you said. Very creative, sir. Here's another dude. Out there somewhere are men that, unbeknownst to them, should be thankful the author of this article has abstained from dating. Ah, crushed. Uh, Here's another one. Based on that picture, it may last a lot longer than a month. Narrator's voice. It did last a lot longer than a month. Actually, not that much longer. But it was a solid year until I was like actually dating someone again. But I went on some fun dates in the interim. But the man sober month did extend. I was like, it's over, but I'm enjoying it. It did last a little bit longer because it was so peaceful. Let's see. It's a lie. This one has to tell themselves. I don't know why they mispronounced me here. I'm making the decision to be single, not that I'm completely unappealing. I'm pretty sure she'd have trouble dating sober guys. So funny. Guys taking one glance and then nope, nope. And last one, maybe dot, dot, dot. You should have left your picture out of the article. End scene. So thick skinned indeed. You have to be. But as a I didn't start getting Botox because of these shitty men in the comment section. I'm not that thin skinned. But then the essay shifts and I start talking about a product that I didn't take French, but I believe is pronounced Milady Decollete, the first women's razor. Gillette launched it in 1913, aiming at the suffragette empowered feminists who, for the first time, were baring their arms and sometimes their armpits in public and started commenting on their unsightly hair. And they did this because they wanted to sell more razors. They'd already tapped out the dude market. Men had been shaving for a long time. And that is the origin story of why most American women shave, because we were shamed into believing that there was something wrong with our body hair. And I'm telling this story because I'm choosing my words carefully here. Women are allowed to do or not do anything they want with their bodies and their beauty treatments. I want to make that clear. And then I choke. Hold on. Yeah, so I want to be very clear about that. Obviously, I dye my hair, I'm wearing makeup, I'm not immune, I shave. But the point that Milady illustrates is once some women start doing it and it takes off and it becomes a norm, the expectation becomes that all women will do it. So I've had my kids say this to me when I'll comment like, wow, that's a lot of eyelash extension on her or something, that they'll be like, but she's just, don't talk about other women and how they look, mom. She's allowed to do what makes her feel good. And I'm like, yes, and there's a nuance there. Once women started wearing makeup, I don't know how far back you have to go before it was not a norm to wear makeup. It is very much a norm now. But once it became a norm, if you choose not to wear makeup, if you choose not to shave your legs, you are living outside of norms. And people make assumptions about you because you're doing that. You look like a hippie, you look like a lesbian, you look like you rolled out of bed, whatever it is. People will make assumptions because of the way you appear as a woman, um, even though you're appearing at what should be the baseline. Having body hair and not wearing makeup and having natural colored hair is the way you wake up, is your baseline, it's your norm, but not for women. For men, it for the most part still is, but for women, it simply is not, because every time a new thing comes along, we all glom onto it, right? And I'm including myself in the we for a lot of this. When I look at the number of beauty products that my daughters, especially my older daughter, use, I'm like, I don't even know what half the shit is. But like, you need a lip scrub and a lip hydrant and a lip liner and a lip plumper and a lipstick and a lip gloss. And I'm like, what? They're dear lips. Put on a little lipstick and go. Like, sleep with a little lip gloss or Vaseline on them if they're dry and go. It just simply becomes the norm. That's why I have problems with beauty standards, because the norms cost women immensely. They literally cost a fuck ton of money, and they take a ton of time. And I don't know. I have such mixed feelings about it, right? Um, and the fact that being natural is weird and newsworthy if it's someone famous. Do you remember when Pamela Anderson went to, I forget if it was the Academy Awards or the Golden Globes, but without makeup on? Pamela Anderson has entered her natural era. And it was like headlines everywhere. And that's pretty crazy when you think about it, right? So then that moves us into Botox and kind of like, and surgeries, honestly, because even, I would say a third of my social media reels these days are around, actually, I'll say a half of them are around either beauty products or surgery and other procedures for beauty, because of my age, probably because I've clicked on one or two of them and then I'm getting a lot of them. But like, it is immense. And Botox costs a lot of money. And also, um, this is where things get tricky, where it's like, what is the opportunity cost of not doing it? Because there are still things that I need from the world. This is how I framed it in my mind, and I'm going to come back to the chat because I have a feeling there are a lot of comments, and I should come in and listen. But first, I'm going to finish this thought, which is, I am not independently wealthy. I have a job, right? Where I go into work, and I am easily 2 decades older than, or sometimes more than everyone in the room. I am such an anomaly working in tech as a woman of my age. But I need health insurance and, income. I also I love to podcast. I'd like to think they're here. Y'all are here because of what I have to say. But I do think it matters how you show up and look on a live stream. And this is where I'm hoping my work is moving. And thirdly, I do not have a partner and I would like one. And so it matters how you show up for these things in the world. We are all meat sacks moving through the world and whatever God-given meat sack we were lucky or unlucky enough to get. And we modify as we go, right? Like I was not meant to have mousy brown hair, which I naturally have. Um, I think the way I wear my hair suits me, and I am skeptical about beauty treatments. Like I don't buy $80 night creams very much, if at all, or even more. I mean, some of them are like $200 or more. Um, because I don't know that putting that lotion on your face versus like a nice bottle of Cetaphil really does that much difference. But Botox, wow, it makes a really big difference. You have to do it every 3 months, and it's an easy $800 pop. It's definitely expensive, but I think it takes years off of my face, and for right now, it's worth it to me. And it's a really hard um, hard to face personally and hard to parent through, right? Because I'm parenting daughters who I have told, like, you are more than your appearance, even as I know that their appearance will really make a difference in their lives. It is a hard paradox. With that, I'm going to move over to the chat here because I have been monologuing. Um, Let me see. Oh, look, we've got a comment in the chat. I love that. Um, Oh, you're saying I'm not someone who needs it. You're very sweet. Thank you. Well, you don't know what I look like without it. I've also seen Botox act as a gateway to full plastic surgery. Once people start down that road, they look more ridiculously comical. That can happen. That said, if I could afford it, I would go get blepharoplasty tomorrow. I would like to do it. My eyes are uneven. It drives me crazy. But that's my vanity talking. I do appreciate your compliment, and I appreciate that you're here. Actually, I want to do one. Oh, and I've got funny hair sticking up. I can see I've got breakage. Because I'm not careful with my hair, you guys. I sleep with it wet. My daughters have told me I shouldn't do that, but I do it sometimes. I am gonna hold on one moment. Come into YouTube, and I'm gonna ask you guys a favor, which is you would like my if you have a YouTube account, which I think most of you probably do, don't do a Joan Rivers. Yeah, there's no risk of that. If you all would go subscribe to me on YouTube, I am trying to build my presence over there, and it's tiny because I'm not nurturing that channel really. And I should tell people more often to go follow me over there because if things go down at Substack for some reason, I want to be reachable on other platforms. Okay, so let me. Oh my gosh, look at all these comments. This is wonderful. Let me see here. Oh, you're making fun of all these dudes. I was like, is there someone in the chat saying something inappropriate? Um, okay. Can I leave their handles? Yeah, I could go find, you could probably Google and find the MSN article, but I don't know what their handles are. And this was a couple of years ago. So who knows where they are now? And probably a lot of them are bots, right? Let's guess how many of these commenters have never touched a boob. You're probably right. Certainly none as nice as mine. They should be so lucky. Let me see here. Um, Jason, that's very funny. Thank you for threatening to harm these men. Asshole better be really, really drunk so I didn't feel that kick to his nut fucking jerk. I love that. That's hilarious. So you guys are all picking on the men who said all these terrible things about me, which thank you. I appreciate your solidarity. Um, Amy says every time women fight for some basic freedoms, there's a backlash in the form of shaming. 100%. If I had been writing an article being like, um, God bless America, we should all be looking for a nice husband to take care of us, God family, what's the order they always say? God country family. They probably would have been like, well, aren't you just a lovely woman? But that's not what I was writing about. I was writing about how toxic dating is and how we all need to step away from it, have a sobriety moment to clear our heads and our hearts. And they did not like that, especially not with my face attached to it. Let me see. You're 65 and stopped wearing daily makeup at 21, Boston. Good for you. Um, as I said, whatever choices women make in this area, like do it, just be aware of why you're doing it and what it means. I think that's how that goes. Let me see here. The beauty, skincare, anti-aging, and weight loss industries are designed to keep women focused on our looks rather than being valued for our character. 100%. 100%. Beauty has always been a form of currency for women. Amy, you're on fire with all these comments. When we use it, we are called gold diggers. When we don't, we are bitches. Yeah, I mean, not going to argue with that. You're supposed to be getting prepared to go on screen. Fuck, I've been blowing it. Jason, you're a dude. So getting prepared is like, I don't know, maybe you brush teeth or hair, but men don't really tend to have a lot of beauty regimen. They just go. So yeah. Derek looks like he liked my phrase meat sacks. I'm a fan of that expression myself. Whatever we do or don't do, we will be critiqued. So true. Um, oh, I love this comment, Violet. I have the quote on my fridge. You're a ghost driving a meat coated skeleton made from stardust, riding a rock, hurtling through space. Fear nothing. I love that. That's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Oh, hi, Lynette. You have not missed us. We're still here. Um, we're bracing for the Fuhrer to threaten to kill us loud and proud. Yeah. Because we all know you have great boobs. I mean, where's the lie? Where is the lie? So this is where we are in the story so far. Um, I have been insulted. I have had my reckoning with Milady Delacote at Gillette Razors, who was the one who manipulated all of us into believing that hair was unsightly. It was a at least one of the earliest I'm sure there have been plenty of other early moves, but it was a very much an early power move to make a lot of women money off of women's insecurities, which has only escalated. And yeah, the story, I end the story on like kind of a happy note. I go through some of the thoughts I just said about wanting things from the world and how hard it is to want things from the world um, as one ages, especially if one is not traditionally beautiful. Like there are doors that open when one is young and pretty that close. And I realized at my job a couple weeks ago that one of my favorite coworkers is 3 years younger than my daughter. And I was like, how am I still here, you guys? It is a very strange feeling. But I mostly talk about dating and how um, it has always been hard for me to find men to take seriously. I am a Not only am I a niche taste, I have very niche tastes. I have very specific tastes physically, but also like a very high bar in terms of their kindness, their empathy, their intelligence, their, kind of how they move through their days and spend their lives. Like very, very few men in the world are a match for me. And that only gets more so as I get older. And so I go through a story here where I matched with someone online who wanted to meet right away. And we meet, and I'm not going to go into telling the whole story other than to say he wasn't interested. And he is someone who I was like, well, wow, this man is a catch, as my mother would say. Like, he was very attractive, very successful. We liked the same music and had other funny commonalities in the world. This would have been someone who, like, wow, like this guy is my equal. This is someone I could date. But he wasn't interested in me. Um, and this was right before I started Botox. And that happened, more often like that. Either I wouldn't match online with men I was interested in, or if I would meet that, well, I didn't meet that many men that usually if we get to the point of meeting, there's some common interest there. But um, I would say this to friends, and they would be like, "Oh, you should be more confident. Why is your confidence so low?" And I think that that's a trope. I think that's something people say to single people of like, if and to me, I hear it as blame. If only I were more confident, I would find the love I'm looking for. And I would suggest not saying that to people unless you actually think that person has like significant confidence issues. If they're walking around like an ER, like I'm so pathetic, but I was like, I'm not doing that. I am a very confident person, kind of quietly confident. I'm like not like a braggadocious person, but I know I am a good partner for the right person. I know I deserve love. I don't walk through the world with those kinds of issues. I simply understand how the world works and have an excellent ability to analyze a situation. I've been there, done that, and self worth only gets you so far. Like the most confident person in the world, if they are not physically appealing, is going to have a very hard time finding someone to date. Probably, we simply all have our likes and our dislikes, and so I was like, I'm not like, I could hear people being like, "Oh, the right man is going to love you just the way you are." I'm like, yes, and you still have to get a foot in the door, and doors open if you look better. And that is simply the truth. I mean, I do that. I've seen profiles of men where I'm like, wow, that guy seems cool. Like we would probably be great friends, not attracted to him at all. And I will swipe left because I'm not looking for friends. I have a lot of friends. I mean, if I met them, I would talk to them, but I'm not going to go seek them out on a dating app because that's cruel too. Like they're there looking for, a potential romantic partner. I don't want to be like, hey, I'm not attracted to you, but I'd like to be your friend. Like that's not kind. And so Botox. And you know what? It's a lot easier to match with men now. Like, not saying it's a cause and effect. Maybe I was just on an unlucky streak, but I would say a market improvement afterwards. And so eh, that's the struggle of this question. I want to be like, I am a feminist and I reject. I know I have many reasons for rejecting this these sorts of beauty treatments or products, et cetera, et cetera. And also, um, I live here in this world, and this is how we move through the world. And those are two opposing thoughts that are hard to keep here, and they are hard to parent through. And I'm guessing I am not the only one who feels that way. And I would really like. I'm going to come back to the chat now because I would love to hear some of your perspectives on this. Um, Hold on a second. I'm scrolling up. Do, 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 do. Let's see. Violet says, my husband didn't like me wearing makeup. He felt it was an artificial pressure put on women by society and he was opposed to it. It sounds like he was a lovely man to recognize that. So, yeah, there are, and we all have our preferences, right? Yes, Derek, it's a pink tax. It is a kind of a pink tax. I remember asking my accountant, like, can I write off my Botox treatments because I podcast? And she was like, no, you can't write off anything related to beauty or fashion because you just can't. And I'm like, well, that doesn't seem very fair. Women have to show up differently, but you cannot. You cannot. Let me see here. I am scrolling down. I'm trying to find what you said up front, Boston. Oh, I think you're talking about our idiot president, and because I see it's a fugly face full of makeup. I assume that you are referring to the unfortunate inhabitant of the White House. And yes, could it be worse? Not really. No, no, no. I can't even fathom what dating must be like now. I'm always looking for one woman. Yeah. Oh, that's nice, Jason. Um, okay. Well, I'm reading in the chat that there's a lot of folks who have lost husbands, either divorce or death, and I'm sorry for all of your losses. I am reading them as I'm going down. And I'm sorry for all of your losses. And I'm glad you guys are fighting one another. Um, okay, I'm scrolling down here. Oh, I think you're asking if you see one of your actual guy friends on a dating app, do you swipe left or do you swipe right? When I see women, I know it doesn't matter who they are. I just swipe right because they're a cool person and they deserve a right swipe. Um, I have seen friends on apps before. And I typically swipe left. Unless there's a little like, then maybe I'd swipe right. But I wouldn't want to give, if I were to swipe right, I would probably message them immediately and just be like, oh, haha, we're both here. Hope you're finding nice matches. And just to de escalate it, of like, I'm not swiping right because I'm interested. But if they haven't swiped on you, then it just lingers out there. You can't write them right away. So um I wouldn't do that. Let me see here. Scrolling down here. After kids, abusive husband, and taking care of my dad for so long, I now do what I want and I feel I deserve whatever I choose if it makes me feel better. Hell yeah, Rose. Sorry you dealt with all of that, but that is the nice part about being single. I mean, I have not had a partner in 14 years. I've had boyfriends, but I've not had a partner. And so, yeah, nobody's reining me in when I'm like, I want to paint the dining room pink and my bathroom, it's purple and the shower curtain has a gigantic unicorn on it. Nobody stops me because it's just me. So I remember one of my daughter's more astute friends. I mean, her friends are all great, but this one delightful friend came in and she was like, it is quite clear no men live in this house. And I was like, you think? This is a very femme house. And I love it that way. So there is something very nice and light about that. Um, down to smash, that's how, I don't know what that's referring to. Okay. Um, there's so many things in here about death and loss of spouse and life insurance, and I'm sorry that you all are going through all of this. I'm only not reading it out loud because it's a different topic, but I do want to stop and say I'm sorry. That's really hard. Um, I do have a little bit of behind the scenes details on some of these stories, but I'm like, well, I think I'm gonna save those for the Sunday salon because I do like to save the tea for over there, as the kids like to say, like the tea in my mug. Um, only more gossipy than the tea in my mug. Do we have any parting words about sort of beauty and how we move through the world as women? I would be really interested if any of you have, if this essay brought up any thoughts for you. If you too struggle with that duality of, I don't want to do this, I really want to do this, and recognizing that it's a paradox and that being human is hard. Sometimes being a woman is hard. Yeah, and there's so much duality in grief too. You're right about that, Amy. Um, I am here if you have for a few more minutes. So if you do come up with topics and you want to talk about that, oh, here's one. My thing is whatever makes you happy, um, or whatever makes you happier, you look the more beautiful, and that I look pretty happy to you. So I am pretty happy. a pretty good life. So, um, yeah, I am. I in part picked this topic for this week because I am 1 week post Botox. So this is as I waited to get it till I was old enough that I have some lines that don't go away, but my forehead is much smoother. And no, Dr. Monadel, this is not for women only, but the topic today, the story that we are talking about is all, oh no, that's not the link. That's, whoops, that's my YouTube. You all can go follow me there too if you want, but let me grab the story. The story is called I Got Botox. Does that make me a hypocrite? And so we are talking about kind of beauty standards for women and what it means to hold opposing views and how to reconcile with them. So I guess it is kind of a femme forward topic, but it certainly does not exclude people of all genders are welcome to come talk about these things. But we are just about at the top of the hour, and I need to go to bed early tonight, you guys, because this is me today. I started this with the story that 2 nights ago, my daughter woke me up at 2 in the morning because she had an infection under her fake, acrylic fancy nail, and we ended up in the emergency room for a couple hours. So I think I'm still catching up from that. But I'm so glad you all have been here for the last hour on I Write Out Loud, the podcast. I will drop a link in here. If you are not yet a subscriber to my work, I would love to have you click the subscribe button or to follow this link. I recognize a lot of the names here, so I know a lot of you are subscribers already. But if you are not, would love to have you keeping up with my work. I post a new essay every Monday. I go live with a public live every Wednesday or Thursday, one of the 2 days. And then on Sundays, I host the Sunday Salon, which is for paid subscribers. And that is where we get into a bit more of the details of the story, things that I don't want to share publicly. And starting, I'm hoping in the next week or two, I'm going to launch my first class. I'm going to do like I Write Out Loud Academy or something like that. I don't know what the name will be yet, but I'm going to teach classes about writing, about, I don't know, writing or podcasting or promoting oneself as a writer. I have some thoughts for class ideas. I'm hoping tonight I'm going to create a survey to send out to my paid subscribers to ask about what kinds of trainings like this would be most useful for you. And also what times of day are most useful for you. So working to get that out the door, all kinds of exciting things coming to I Write Out Loud. So please subscribe. If you are able, I would welcome you as a paid subscriber. That being a paid subscriber helps keep this alive and keep it going. So I know times are tough, but if you are able to, I would welcome you to our community and to partake in all of the training that's out there. And one final thing, I also am half of the Daily Whatever show with my best friend Lawrence Winterman. And tomorrow we have Waj from the Left Hook coming on the show for a charming segment we call Fucked Up Friday, where we talk about the news of the week. It's a competition of who can find the most fucked up news out there. And we have our audience vote on the winners. I would love to have you all tune in. That is at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so 7 a.m. my time tomorrow, Friday. And the Sunday Salon is at 1 p.m. on Sunday Eastern time, and it's 10 a.m. Pacific time. So I'll watch us on right now with Joy and Lev. Oh, that's so cool. Well, if you would like another chance to see him goof off with Lawrence and with me, he was so funny the last time he was on our show. I can still hear him doing his Trump voice when he would call it the Strait of Hormuz instead of the Strait of Hormuz. He was very, very funny. It's going to be a really good show. So I'd love to see you there. And I just hope you all have a wonderful evening. It's always, I feel like the hour just flew by like this. You all make these chats so much fun. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And I will see you out on Substack. Love you, mean it. I have to come over here to end it. Here we go. Bye.